Today we're talking about 5 golf swing basics that every golfer should know. I don't care if you're an expert or a beginner, these are 5 things that you want to know because they can help any level of golfer improve their game. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And I can tell you this, a lot of golf tips, they apply to all levels of golfers. And today I'm going to give you 5 specific ones that can really apply to any level of golfer. And the best part is they're all in different aspects of the golf swing. So I think you're going to find at least 1 or 2 of these really helpful for you. And now if you haven't already, hey, be sure to join our family here at US Golf TV. We love hearing from you. And do me a favor, tell a friend, leave a comment, and you know what? Ring that bell so that you know when we got new content coming out. So let's dive right into this. We're going to talk about 5 different things here today. We're going to start first of all with the grip. All right, we're going to start with the grip. How should we be holding the golf club? We're going to talk a little bit about some stance. We're going to give you a nice little backswing tip, especially if you're tending to slice the golf ball. You're going to really want to pay attention to that. I'm going to talk a little bit about some swing plane because there's a lot of different confusion out there. And last but not least, I'm going to give you the one tip that I give all golfers that works every single time that can help you play some better golf. So let's dive right into it. We're talking about the grip. So when we grip the golf club, the biggest mistake that even really good golfers make at times is they grip the club too much in their palm. Now what I mean by that is when they hold the club, they position the club up here too much into their palm in kind of this type of position because maybe it feels a little bit, it feels powerful or strong, but when they grip it up in their palm like such, they can't leverage the club the way that they want to. So what you want to do is when you're holding the club, you want to take the angle of the club and you want to tilt it just a little bit this way. So let's say this was 90 degrees. Let's say, all right, this was 0 degrees. Let's go about halfway in between, around 45 degrees. And then let's take our hand and let's position the club so that it runs diagonal. So it's running down towards my fingers. See how I'm gripping it down here? And I'm wrapping my fingers around. This would be holding the club in my fingers versus this way would be holding the club in my palm. This would be bad. This would be good. Because when you hold the club in your fingers, all right, what it's going to allow you to do, if I go ahead and square up here now to the camera, is it's going to allow me to hinge the club and leverage the club. When it's in the palm, it's very difficult to do that. Now, as a tip, I didn't even plan on talking about this, but I want to share this with you because I'm thinking about it. Look at your glove. When you look at your glove, you'll notice my glove here. I got this FootJoy glove on. That there's nice even wear throughout the entire glove. If you're getting holes in your glove after 1 round or 2 rounds or 1 practice session, something's wrong with your grip. That is a telltale sign. So when I have a golf lesson, somebody comes in, the first thing I do is I look at their glove. Because if their glove's kind of nice and worn like this one is here, their grip's probably pretty solid, all right? So that's a little bit in terms of the grip. Get the club more in your fingers versus your palm. If you do that, that's going to help you out. Now let's talk a little bit about the stance. You know, kind of the setup and specifically the front foot and some of those types of things. Now, when we're talking about the setup, okay, I want you to feel like you've got a little bit more weight, pressure on your lead foot. Okay, so when I'm saying, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm a big fan of 60-40. Okay, and we've tested people here at Sanford, all right, in the Science Sports Institute. We test them on the pressure plates and the force plates and all this. And I can tell you the best players start with a little bit more weight, okay, pressure on their lead foot. So when you're set in there, get about 60%. Now, why do we want to see that? Well, because when I'm set in here, and I've got a little bit more pressure on my front foot, that allows me to push that weight off the front foot towards the trail foot and start to rotate and create some torque and some leverage. The most common mistake that a lot of golfers make, all right, in their setup is they have 50% weight on their lead foot and 50% on their trail foot, so there's nothing to really push because they've already got a substantial amount of pressure and weight on their trail foot. So when you're set in there, put some pressure on your lead foot so you can push off it, move to the right, move to the trail, and start your rotation. That'll create some torque, some pressure, and help you start leveraging the golf club. So that would be tip number 2. Make sure that you've got a little bit of pressure on the lead foot. Now, hey, if you feel differently on that, that's okay. Be sure to leave a comment or a question and why you might think you feel the way that you do based on some of the couple things we talked about with the grip and also the pressure, because who knows? Maybe you'll teach me something as well, all right? So let's talk now about the third thing. All right, we're going to talk a little bit here about the backswing, specifically the takeaway and the club face. All right, now I've got my live view set up here. That's what I love about the live view, because it's real time. It's real time, all right? So I'm set in here. Now I'm using a 6-iron, all right? And I've got that blue line right along my shaft angle. Now that blue line goes right along the shaft angle, goes kind of up through my hip. Now, when I'm working on takeaway with the student, I'm looking for a couple things. We're going to talk about the motion of the hands. We're going to talk about the movement of the club head. And we're going to talk about the club face. So, here's what you're going to look for. This is what you want to be doing. Now, I'm going to show you probably what you might be doing if you're slicing or hooking. When I move back, we're going to focus on hands first. I want my hands to track, see that? I want them to track just underneath that blue line. Okay, that's the perfect position in my opinion. After 26 years of teaching golf, I like to see the hands work just like this. Now, what do I see for a lot of slicers? I see this. I see the hands go high early. They go up and high, boom, and that moves the club head in and around, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. So keep those hands along that blue line or just inside it early on, and that's going to definitely help. Now, what about the club head relative to the hands? So, got my live view here set up. My hands, we know where theirs are going, but notice the club head. Where's the club head go? See that? Right along that blue line. That is the perfect takeaway in my opinion. Okay? Boom, right there. A lot of golfers, they raise their hands, we've talked, and the club goes in and around. This is a death move right here in my opinion. You get going that way, you are going to have some real problems, especially for the average golfer. So, we're set in there. Okay, now let's talk about the club face a little bit. A lot of great information, right? A lot of great information. I'll take that away. Notice I want that club face to be at a 45-degree angle. So this would be, let's just call that 90 as a reference, straight up and down. Okay, straight looking at the ground, that's 0. That's 90. I'm going to go halfway in between, that's 45. That's where I want that club to be. Right, now when I'm working with my live view, I'll get set up here. I'll make a couple rehearsals. Boom, watching my hands, watching the club head. That's that one wanted to work a little inside, didn't it? Ooh, that's better right there. I'll get that feel. I like to be dynamic when I work on the takeaway. See how I'm doing that? It's not a stationary position. It's a dynamic movement. I'll get that feel, and then boom. I'll go ahead and swing it. So that's on the takeaway. Some things that we want to be looking for on the takeaway. Now, let's talk about swing plane. A lot of people talk about swing plane. All right, it's a beauty. Got this blue line on here. We're going to use that same line, same reference. Now, when we're talking about swing plane, we're talking about the angle of the club shaft as it moves through the golf swing. Now, for basic purposes, the golf swing is like a circle. Think of it like a circle. Now, for all my golf instructors out there who are super smart, I know the golf swing is not a perfect circle, but from today's presentation and discussion, think of your golf swing as basically a circle, all right? Like this blue line is like half of a hula hoop, and it's just a circle. The club goes back up, over the trail shoulder, back down the circle, back up the circle, and then into the finished position. So when we talk about plane, we're talking about the angle that we set that circle. Okay, so what I like to do, when I get that blue line on there, I'm going to do some rehearsals here. I'll do it with my students. Got the live view down there, take it up, and I want to make sure that this club shaft works on the same angle, the same plane as that blue line. See? Now it doesn't have to be on that blue line, but notice how it's parallel to that blue line versus a lot of high handicappers when they slice, boom. Now see how it's steep? You can even see it from face on there. From down the line to live view, I can really see that. Okay, this is going to cause some slicing, pulling, you name it, just bad golf shots. So when we're practicing, I use that blue line as a reference, and I just try to mirror that. Okay, make sure that the shaft stays at the same angle as that blue line here. And even as I go through, I like to see that kind of match on this side personally as well too. Okay, what I have found though is that if this downswing is good, the follow through is in a good position. So when we talk about swing plane, that's what we're talking about. Golfers get it up. If they get steep, the shaft angle is steeper than the shaft. Or if they get too shallow, it could be like this. You don't see it very often. You'll see sometimes it's really good players, they get a little bit this way on the downswing. So that's a little bit about the plane of the golf swing. Now I promised you at the end, I'd give you a tip that I give all of my golfers that's simple to do. It's probably the best golf tip of all. And that is knees touching or seeing the bottom of the trail foot. So when you're set in there, if you just make a golf swing, and from the face-on view right there, okay, notice my knees are touching. This is a great position because it gets my body forward, it gets my hips facing the target, and it makes me be in balance. If I'm using with my down the line view, like with live view, what I'm looking at there is I want to see the bottom of my foot. Okay, I want to see the bottom of my foot. So when I hit a golf shot, go set up, and I finish, boom, are my knees touching? Can I see the bottom of my foot? If I can do that right there, I know that I've got good tempo, I've got good rhythm, and I'm in balance. So I don't care what level of golfer you are, these 5 tips, the grip, the setup, a little bit of weight force, so you can unweight, the takeaway, great information, that takeaway, the hand position, the club face, all of that type of stuff there. Understanding the plane of the golf swing, that the golf swing is basically a circle, and you want it to mirror as you come back down. And then when you finish, knees touch, see the bottom of the foot from down the line. If you do those 5 things, I don't care if you're a scratch golfer or a 100 shooter, they're going to help you start playing some better golf.